Welcome back to Pickleball Guys. I'm Fred, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Head Radical Nite pickleball paddle. The new Radical Nite is the latest paddle in Head's Radical series. It's a thermoformed raw carbon paddle, so it should feel a little crisper than the Radical Tour raw paddles. As with most thermoform paddles, there is a layer of foam around the edge walls of the core to help reduce vibration, and with the unibody construction, the sweet spot is enhanced with a seamless feel from the handle to the face. The specs are basically identical to the Radical Tour EX Raw, with an elongated paddle length of 16.5 inches, a paddle width of 7.5 inches, a handle length of 5.5 inches, and a grip size of 4 1/8 of an inch. Even the core thickness remains the same at 15 millimeters. The Radical Nite is ultimately a thermoform variant of the EX Raw. Now, Head has gone one step further and incorporated spin-on technology, which is a spray-on grip paint, combined with the raw carbon fiber paddle face, to help enhance the amount of spin capabilities. So let's get into how Head Radical Nite plays, and I'll rate it in terms of power, control, spin, and maneuverability, and share my experience with you while comparing it to the Radical Tour EX Raw. Right away, I noticed a boost in power from the original Radical Tour EX Raw, and this is likely due to the properties added from the thermoforming. Drives felt crisper, and attacking off the volley felt great. It seemed like there was more of a sweet spot on the Radical Nite, and off-center shots didn't really feel like they were off-center. Everything felt very consistent, and the 15 millimeter thickness is a perfect balance for finding power and control. It's obviously not going to be as powerful as the Head's Extreme series or other thinner core paddles, but it's pretty close. And that's a good thing considering it has better control qualities than those types of power paddles. I would give the Radical Nite an 8.7 out of 10 for power. The control remains impressive with the Radical Nite. When both the Radical Tour Raw and EX Raw launched, they proved to be the best paddles for control in Head's lineup. They improved on the Radical shape, making them thicker, going from 14 millimeters to 15 millimeters, and added the raw carbon fiber surface. The added thickness obviously absorbs more energy, while the raw carbon fiber materials add a little stiffness, giving the ball some more dwell time on the paddle face. Honestly, I could feel when I wasn't hitting within the sweet spot while using the Tour EX Raw. However, the Radical Nite felt much more consistent. Again, I think this can be attributed to the thermoforming, which gives more stability around the edges of the paddle face. So ultimately, the Radical Nite felt more forgiving than its predecessors, and I would give it a 9 out of 10 for control. Now, in terms of spin, the Radical Nite's elongated paddle face has a ton of grittiness to it and has some high spin capabilities. Between the raw carbon fiber surface and the spin-on grip paint, Head has done everything they can to optimize the spin potential of the paddle. Now, obviously, I'm testing a brand new paddle here, so of course it's going to feel nice and gritty. Naturally, I would imagine this grip paint to likely wear down at some point, probably after a few months of rigorous use. But luckily, underneath that grip paint is the raw carbon fiber material, which on its own has excellent grittiness and texture. So I think the paddle will retain its spin capabilities for a long time, which is great. I'd give the Radical Nite a 9.5 out of 10 for spin. One of the nicer things about the Radical Nite is its maneuverability. The elongated handle allows for two-handed backhands, but also the ability to choke up or down and shift the balance a bit in your hand. It's a very light swing weight. It doesn't feel like an 8.1 ounce paddle. It feels lighter. So it's very arm-friendly in that respect. I'll give the Radical Nite a 9 out of 10 for maneuverability. So let's summarize this review. The Radical Nite might just be a thermoform version of the Radical Tour EX Raw, but the differences are certainly noticeable if you have the chance to test them both out together and compare. The Radical Nite is more consistent around the entire paddle face and more forgiving in my opinion. It also attacks the ball better, both in terms of power and spin. Again, since I was using a new paddle during my testing, the texture of the surface is very noticeable with the spin-on grip paint being in optimum condition. But as I've said earlier, I don't see the wearing of the grip paint being a concern, since the raw carbon fiber surface it's applied to is naturally gritty. The Radical Nite will always be a great paddle for spin, as are the Radical Tour Raw and EX Raw. But the Nite is definitely the best paddle, in my opinion, within the Radical series. And honestly, Head's entire pickleball paddle lineup, with its improved consistency and ability to offer the best of both worlds in terms of power and control. Thank you for watching. Please let us know in the comments if you have any questions or if there are any other products you would like us to review in the future. The Head Radical Nite is available at pickleballguys.ca and pickleballguys.com. Come check us out.